In a quiet, sunlit park, a wealthy businessman froze in disbelief. His expensive suit, his polished shoes, his world of power, none of it prepared him for what he was witnessing. His daughter, the one who never trusted anyone, was fast asleep, in the arms of their old housemaid. The caretaker's wrinkled hands held the little girl gently, her head resting against the woman's shoulder with complete trust. For a child who never smiled, never let anyone close, this moment was impossible. The father's eyes widened. His mouth fell open. Was this really happening? How could his little girl find comfort not in him, not in doctors, not in luxury, but in a poor woman who had nothing? The story began in a mansion of wealth and silence. The man was a self-made millionaire, respected in business circles, feared by rivals, admired by employees. But within the walls of his marble home there was only distance. His little daughter, barely 6 years old, lived surrounded by riches, yet starved of affection. Her toys were expensive but untouched. Her clothes were luxurious but unworn with joy. She rarely laughed, rarely played. When her father spoke, it was with stern commands, hurried instructions, or the cold tone of a man always busy. He believed providing wealth was enough. He believed money could replace presence. The old caretaker entered this house only as a cleaner. She wore a faded uniform, her hands rough from years of labor. She wasn't educated, she wasn't wealthy, yet she carried something money could never buy: kindness. She noticed what others ignored: the girl's lonely eyes, the silence at the dinner table, the way she clutched her teddy bear as if it were the only friend she had. At first, their interactions were simple. A gentle smile when she passed by, a glass of water offered softly. But slowly, something invisible began to grow. The girl started watching her, following her, sitting near her while she worked. The millionaire didn't notice. He thought of deals, not emotions. He believed childhood could be managed with tutors and toys. But in the shadows of his grand home, a bond was forming that would one day shatter his pride and change everything he believed about love. One evening, the little girl fell sick. A fever burned through her small body. The father reacted as any rich man would. He called the finest doctors, ordered the best medicines, filled the house with experts. They checked her temperature, prescribed tablets, and assured him she would recover. But the truth was deeper. Her body wasn't only sick, it was her heart, her spirit. She refused to eat. She turned her face away from her father. She would not rest, would not calm. The mansion grew tense with fear. It was the caretaker who quietly stepped forward. She sat by the child's bed, humming old songs from her own childhood. She stroked the girl's hair, whispered gentle words, and held her trembling hand until sleep came. For the first time in days, the girl rested. The father dismissed it as coincidence. But when the fever returned, so did the caretaker's presence. Again, the child leaned toward her. Again, her breathing slowed, her tears stopped. She would sip soup if the caretaker fed her. She would smile faintly when she heard her lullaby. The father began to feel something unfamiliar: confusion. How could a woman with no degree, no status, no wealth, heal what money could not? Days passed and the bond deepened. The girl followed the caretaker through the house, her small footsteps echoing across marble floors. She laughed softly when the woman folded laundry, when she dusted shelves, when she hummed while working. For the first time, life returned to her eyes. The father saw it but could not accept it. His pride told him it was dangerous. His mind said, "This is my daughter, my blood. How dare she give her love to someone else?" But his heart, buried deep under years of ambition, whispered a truth he wasn't ready to face. She trusted the maid more than she trusted him. The breaking moment came one Sunday morning in the park. The millionaire, determined to spend time with his daughter, took her out. He believed a walk in the fresh air might help. He imagined her holding his hand, smiling, calling him Papa with affection. But fate had other plans. As they walked, the caretaker, who often accompanied them, sat on a bench nearby. The little girl grew tired. Her father bent down to lift her, but she turned away, restless, unwilling. Then, without hesitation, she walked to the caretaker and climbed into her lap. Within minutes, her tiny eyes closed. Her head rested on the woman's chest. Her small arms wrapped around her. The father froze. His heart pounded. His mind screamed, "No, this cannot be." But his eyes could not deny the truth before him. He watched the way the caretaker held the child, not as an employee, but as a grandmother, a mother, a protector. He saw the peace on his daughter's face, the peace she never found in his arms. Something inside him cracked. His pride, his ego, his certainty that money was enough. It all shattered in that one image. The world around him blurred. The birds in the park sang, the trees swayed, but all he could see was his daughter's trust placed entirely in the arms of another. For the first time he understood what he had lost. The walk home was silent. The father carried no words, only the weight of his realization. That night, as his daughter slept peacefully, he stood at the doorway and watched. The caretaker sat nearby, still awake, watching over the child with the patience of love. He thought of his own childhood, how he had grown without affection, how he had built walls of steel around his heart. He thought money would protect his daughter from pain, but instead it had created a loneliness wealth could not cure. The caretaker never asked for recognition. She never demanded respect. She simply did what her heart told her, to love the child as if she were her own. And in that humility she became greater than all his riches. From that day forward, the father changed. He did not replace the caretaker. Instead, he began to learn from her. He spent more evenings at home. He spoke gently, not with commands, but with care. Slowly, his daughter began to open up to him. But he knew he would never forget the lesson burned into his soul that day in the park. True wealth is not measured in gold or power or status. It is measured in love, compassion, and humanity. The caretaker remained in their lives, not just as a maid, but as family. The father, humbled and wiser, finally saw her for what she truly was. The woman who gave his daughter what he could not. And perhaps that is the greatest miracle of all. Sometimes the most overlooked, the most underestimated, carry within them the treasure that the richest hearts are still searching for. This is more than a story of a maid and a millionaire. It's a reminder for us all. Respect those we overlook because sometimes they carry the greatest love of all.